This is America in Space, a weekly news and information program on current events dealing with the space industry.
Welcome, and thanks for joining me today. I'm Dawn Meyer, Space Coast News Editor.
And we have engine start. And liftoff. Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
After over 20 years in development, the James Webb Space Telescope successfully launched on December the 25th, 2021. The telescope is now moving toward its orbit of the Sun, 1.5 million kilometers, or 1 million miles, away from the Earth at what is called the second Lagrange point, or L2. This orbit will allow the telescope to stay in line with the Earth as it moves around the Sun. It also allows the telescope's large sun shield to protect it from the light and heat of the Sun, the Moon, and the Earth. A lot has been going on in those 11 days since the launch to configure the telescope, and everything has been going quite well. They've done their course corrections and have now moved into the portion of the mission called the deployment stage, where they will be deploying the tower, sunshield, and secondary mirrors for about 14 days. Here's a summary from Keith Parrish, the commissioning manager for the James Webb Space Telescope at Goddard Space Flight Center.
We're kind of done all our mid-course corrections. Then we go into 14 days of deployments. So the very first thing we're going to do on day 3, again, 0 being launch day, day 3 is where we start our sunshield deployments. What we'll do that day is we'll do our two big pallets. We call them our front and rear UPSs. We'll get those down. The next day, we're going to do our deployable tower assembly, getting the telescope up away from the spacecraft. And what that does is that frees us up to actually all of the material for the sunshield is actually stowed in that area. So we need to get the telescope up away, and then that will allow us to pull all that material out. So that'll happen on day 4. Day 5 is where we start doing our mid booms and extending those. So that all takes over between getting the sun shield out. Then we go into tensioning operations. Once we get the sun shield out, that's great, but then we have to sort of tighten it up. And all 5 layers have 6 different points around there where they're connected up, and then we'll pull on cables in each one of those corners and actually tighten up the sun shield. And that takes a few days to do that. So roughly, depending on how it goes, roughly day 10 or so, we'll get into what we call our telescope deployments, where we'll deploy our secondary mirror, which is the tripod-looking thing. And then ultimately, we have the 2 wings of the main mirror that have to be deployed. So that's what I call our primary deployments. All along the way, we're doing a lot of releases and launch locks. We release our cryocooler assembly. We have some additional radiator shades that we have to deploy and get those out. So there's other deployments that don't quite make the headlines like the sun shield does. So that takes us through the first 2 weeks of the mission. We're finally deployed. We got everything out.
And we've gotten through a lot of that. Yesterday was day 10 and saw the completion of the sunshield tensioning.
I can confirm the final signature on the aft MTS, which indicates that all 5 layers of the sunshield are fully tensioned.
Significant milestone accomplished. Job well done, Sunshield team. Job well done.
Today, day 11, the secondary mirror deployment was completed.
Hey, I just want to take a moment to congratulate everyone. Another banner day for JWST. In particular, the secondary mirror deployment folks. You guys did a heck of a job. This is unbelievable. We are now at a point where I looked up before, we're about 600,000 miles from Earth, and we actually have a telescope. So congratulations to everybody.
All right. So that was Bill Oakes, our program manager.
The next phase is moving the mirror wings, followed by maneuvering the primary mirror segments into position. So stay tuned for that. From Florida's Space Coast, this is Dawn Meyer for About Space Today.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share our program with your family and friends and follow us on Facebook. Join us each week for news and information on America in Space.